Here are the most shocking human experiments that changed humanity. The Aversion Project. South Africa started the Aversion Project decades later. It was a cruel attempt to cure homosexuality. Victims were given electric shock therapy while being shown pictures of men. Some had to go through more than 150 shocks in one session. Others were given drugs that made them violently vomit while they were forced to look at graphic images, linking nausea with same-sex attraction. The scars on their bodies and minds would last a lifetime. A lot of the survivors had PTSD, depression, and thoughts of killing themselves. This government-approved torture was done to hundreds of people in the name of science. The Tuskegee Study. If San Jose was a secret, the Tuskegee Study was a lie that everyone could see. From 1932 to 1972, U.S. health officials watched 600 African-American men, 399 of whom had syphilis. They were told they were getting treatment for bad blood. In fact, doctors didn't give them real treatment, even after penicillin became available, just to see how the disease would get worse. More than 100 men died because of syphilis or its complications. Many wives got the disease, and 19 children were born with it. The truth didn't come out until a whistleblower told the world about the experiment. This shocked the nation and changed medical ethics forever. Death Island in Britain. The British government did its own terrible things on Grunard Island, which is off the coast of Scotland. During World War II, it looked into using anthrax as a biological weapon as part of Operation Vegetarian. What's the plan? Drop cakes filled with anthrax on German farms to infect their animals and ruin their food supply. Tests started in 1942, and they let deadly spores into the air. For decades, the island was too polluted to live on. Soldiers who helped with the tests got very bad skin and breathing problems. Grunard Island is a real-world reminder of how close people came to using biological weapons that could end the world. Unit 731. What the? Unit 731 of Japanese Army did is the darkest science experiments. They called the victims woods. These woods were just materials for their experiments. They placed woods outside in coldest weather for some time, then knocked the frozen arms broken to analyze how frostbite hurt man, or put the frozen person into hot water to see what will happen. They tested all kinds of bacteria or chemical weapons on those poor people and vivisected victims to collect information about the effects of the bombs. Most of the woods were Chinese. The others were Russians, Koreans. After the war, the U.S. detained the chief and some members of Unit 731 for some time, and after got the experimental results, they released these devils. The Nazi twin tests. Dr. Joseph Mengele, who was known as the Angel of Death, did horrible experiments on twins inside Auschwitz. He was obsessed with genetics and racial purity, so he gave one twin diseases while keeping the other as a control. Some had to have their limbs cut off, had surgeries without anesthesia, and even had their children sewn together in an attempt to make conjoined twins. The people Mengele hurt went through pain that is hard to imagine. Only about 200 of the 1,500 twins lived. The rest died in pain, their bodies given up to a sick vision of science gone wrong. Human dissection in ancient Greece. Vivisection, or surgery on living people, was first thought of in ancient Greece, long before modern science. Scholars such as Herophilus and Erasistratus conducted vivisections on condemned prisoners to examine anatomy. Herophilus cut into the brains of living people and looked at the movement of their muscles by cutting into their nerves. Erasistratus opened up the chest cavities to see the heart beating. Their discoveries helped medicine, but they came at a terrible cost. Every new piece of information came with screams and blood. The camera, of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union set up a secret lab called the Camera in the 1920s. Its job was to make the perfect poison that couldn't be traced back to them. They injected, fed, or even made political prisoners breathe in poisons like botulinum, strychnine, and ricin. While taking notes, scientists calmly watched as victims shook, gasped, and died in pain. A lot of experiments mixed poisons to see how fear and pain changed how deadly they were. More than 90% of the victims died. The Camera's results led to decades of secret killings, turning death into a weapon of the state. Conditioning experiment. So, you are driving peacefully along the highway when your four kids see a big, yellow M poking out of the trees a mile ahead. Suddenly, all hell breaks loose. "I'm starving! Look what I see! Last week you said no!" This is called conditioning. It's an easy concept to understand. Something we see or hear triggers a reaction. Conditioning fuels addiction, phobias, and credit card debt. Many of us learned about this in school. Russian scientist Ivan Pavlov trained dogs to drool by ringing a bell. Both dogs and people learn to obey conditioning in order to receive pleasure or avoid nasty things. We all accept this as a part of life. Little Albert had to learn this at the hands of John B. Watson, a researcher at Johns Hopkins University in 1920. He and his research assistant, Rosalie Rayner, wanted to see if Pavlov's conditioning theory worked on a child. It does. 9-month-old Albert got to play with a lab rat. At first, they had fun, but then it was experiment time. Whenever Albert wanted to play with the rat, the researchers made loud noises that scared the infant. As time went on, Albert cried in fear every time he saw the rat. As it turned out, Albert learned not only to fear rats, but anything that was furry, even a man dressed as Santa Claus. It seems Albert never really recovered from this experiment. Albert's identity is still a matter of debate, but one thing is certain. After the ethical outrage caused by the experiment ended Watson's career, he married his research assistant, and together they wrote a book on raising children. Their advice was, never hug and kiss them, never let them sit in your lap.